Quinn Ewers is back on the 40 acres. Well, he didn't go anywhere, but he's also not going anywhere in 2024. So, what exactly does this mean for the Texas Longhorns' future in the SEC? And more importantly, what does this mean for the quarterback room in Austin? If you're brand new, welcome on into the channel. My name is Cole Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. I love talking college football, and if this is the type of content you enjoy, my friends, this is the channel made for you. So hit the subscribe button down below, leave in the comments your thoughts on Texas's quarterback room, Quinn Ewers' decision to come back to Austin, and whatever else you have. Tell your friends, your family, your sister, your brother, your pastor, your mortal enemies, your best of bros, the drunk guy passed out in an Academy Outdoors parking lot, wherever you see fit, all about this channel. And as always, let's continue to talk college football. So, Quinn Ewers expected to return for the 2024 season with Texas. And this is news that seems a little far-fetched just based off where the Longhorns are right now, but it isn't at the same time. You catch my drift? Texas still has a shot of winning the Big 12 title for the final time before they make the jump to the SEC. They very much are still in the running to win the college football playoff, let alone get to the college football playoff. And if all that happens, you usually see players go out on the high note. They don't want to come back and potentially deteriorate their draft stock. They want to go and achieve the most that they possibly can. But for Quinn Ewers, as good as it could be for him to hoist up a national title, a Big 12 title, or just even lead his team to the playoff in general, the stat line wasn't as positive as I think a lot of people thought it was going to be. Like, Ewers going into the year was considered by many draft analysts the top 3 quarterback. Usually it was right behind USC's Caleb Williams and UNC's Drake May. Well, now because of the injury and because of the somewhat limited production we've seen this year, his numbers have dwindled, and so has his draft stock. So the thought process probably is, I've spoken to the right people. I understand where I fall in the pecking order of quarterbacks, which also includes Oregon's Bo Nix, LSU's Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix Jr. from Washington, potentially Carson Beck from Georgia if he decides to declare, maybe Graham Mertz from Florida comes out, Sam Hartman at Notre Dame. There is a laundry list of quarterbacks that potentially could see their name selected before Quinn Ewers. So why not just come back? Enjoy life in the SEC, lead my team to victory against some of the biggest opponents, and boost my draft stock while we're at it. Because when you play in the SEC against quality, elite defenses, guys who are going to strut their stuff on Sundays, and usually 3 or 4 per defense, that boosts up your confidence, number 1. It boosts up your production, number 2. Your level of quality of play usually factors in, and also it kind of gives you a broader spectrum to be on the national spotlight. That's really where we are when it comes to Quinn Ewers in Texas. So I understand the move from that persona. The other thing is, this is monumental for Texas because this is year 1 in the SEC. You know, when a brand new coach comes into a building in a new conference, they usually want to build the team in their image. That's what happens about 95% of the time. And it's very similar to what's going on with Texas A&M right now. With Texas, if you have the right guy leading the charge, there's not much that you have to change. There's a lot to like about where you're headed and the direction that your team is going toward, where maybe you actually are a contender in year 1. That's where Texas kind of is right now, because they won't have to worry about starting fresh with a brand new quarterback. Like Billy Napier in year 1, when he got to Florida, had a first rounder in Anthony Richardson on his roster. Brian Kelly did it. So Brian Kelly went out and he got a very sophisticated, sound quarterback in Jaden Daniels. And look at the results. Daniels still is in the Heisman running, and potentially he'll have a shot to at least get to 10 wins this year if he wins out and runs the table. So everything is still made available for LSU. For Texas, you have the veteran quarterback, and you're probably also going to have running back Jonathan Brooks in the backfield because the torn ACL likely has plummeted his draft stock. Why not just come back to the 40 acres and see what happens? Plus, you have younger players that also are going to be around, like Jonte Cook, Anthony Hill, not to mention other guys like Maalik Muhammad and CJ Baxter, who is expected to now be the lead tailback for this week's game against Iowa State and the remainder of the season. And maybe this just creates a ripple effect to where other players are sitting there and going, I'm a second-round pick this year because of all these wide receivers ahead of me. Maybe I come back. Maybe I want to see what the SEC is all about. And that includes Xavier Worthy or Jatavion Sanders or maybe Adonai Mitchell, who's already proven that the transfer portal works in your favor, but also he's really good outside of SEC and in SEC play. Not to mention, there are going to be a ton of names that see the Longhorn logo now attached to the SEC logo and say, yeah, I think I'm ready to go spread my stuff on the 40 acres. So this is a huge win in terms of Texas's veteranship and what it could do for the remainder of the roster moving into the brand new conference, which I think a lot of people are excited about. And honestly, Steve Sarkisian has a reason to strut his stuff and puff out his chest and say, we're not going to go away quietly. We're not going to be a doormat for you like other teams have been. Get ready for the best of the Longhorns because we mean business. Now, the $1 million question, and really $1 million because of NIL. What happens to Arch Manning? I'm going to tell you a little story real fast about the Manning family. And I've been lucky enough to interview Peyton and Eli. I've talked to Cooper. I've talked to Archie before. And they are a wonderful family, not just for the lore of college football and for the NFL, but also just to have conversations with to kind of give you an impactful insight of their findings. When Peyton Manning was getting looked at by every college in America, he went to Tennessee because he was enthralled with what David Cutcliffe was teaching. He believed that Cutcliffe and him could build something, a promise of potential. When Eli Manning was going into the draft process, and out of high school and trying to find his new home, Ole Miss was certainly on the radar because of his dad, Archie, but he really went to Ole Miss because David Cutcliffe was hired as the head coach. And that's kind of been the persona of what we know about the Manning family. They don't pick teams. They don't pick programs. They don't look at NIL or where they could profit the most. What they do is they find someone that they believe in that can bring out the best version of them, and they hitch their wagon to that person. And that's what happened with Steve Sarkisian at Texas when he landed Arch Manning. Manning committed to Texas as much as he committed to Steve Sarkisian. And as long as Steve Sarkisian is running the show on the 40 acres, Manning, I don't think, is going anywhere. And maybe this is a blessing in disguise because of not only will Arch have another season to adapt in the weight room, to learn how to understand every concept that Steve Sarkisian is looking for offensively, and also build that relationship with young receivers, not to mention transfer portal receivers and a newer, more, I would say not seasoned, but definitely an offensive line that is going to have some flaws next year, but also could be one of the best in the SEC very early on. It allows them to build those relationships to a brand new level while also watching what SEC football is all about from the sidelines as a player, not just on the sidelines as a recruit or a sidelines when he would go see the Rebels play with Uncle Eli or the Volunteers play with Uncle Peyton. He'll have an opportunity to learn and see everything at his disposal, which should make him a better quarterback. And Maalik Murphy doesn't have to transfer, but if he were to stick around, he also could compete for the starting job. And this shouldn't be a reasoning to say, well, if Arch Manning is the better quarterback and provides us more opportunities to be successful in the SEC, Quinn, we appreciate you. Best of luck to you in your future endeavors, but we have to do what's best for the program. And that is plausible. It happened before. Matt Barkley. Matt Barkley was considered a front-runner first-round pick. He goes back to USC. Things don't go as promising, and at the end of the day, Cody Kessler is starting to see more reps, and Cody Kessler ends up replacing him. That happens in college football all the time. So just because Quinn Ewers is coming back doesn't mean that Steve Sarkisian isn't going to do what's best for the program. And what's best for the program right now for Texas is to allow a veteran quarterback to steer the ship in a brand new conference where it just means more. It means more money. It means more eyeballs. It means more opportunities for you to be successful and more opportunities for you to also kind of show your ticks in the armor of where maybe you struggle at the pro level. That's really what's at case in the SEC slogan of it just means more. Everything is on the table. So I think right now for Texas, this is a massive win. They still very much control their own destiny to make it to the Final Four this year. They still have an opportunity of winning the Big 12 title, which would be monumentally massive for their persona going to the SEC, but also that Steve Sarkisian is the first, second, and only guy who can get this quality of play in Austin. And number three, it allows you to go ahead and figure out where you stand among contending teams in college football. So I'm really excited to see what Quinn Ewers does next year in the SEC. I think that this is going to do wonders for the persona of the program. And as for Arch Manning, he's not going anywhere. Arch Manning will be in Austin until he is ready to declare for the NFL draft. And much like David Cutcliffe turned Eli and Peyton into #1 picks, who's to say that Steve Sarkisian won't do the same thing? Third time's the charm. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.